Hey guys, it's Jaden again. Um, I was going to record this video on a little bit of a happier topic than what I'm actually going to address, but I went back to work yesterday, and we have this lady named Dorothy who, she's been very sick for the last, 3 or 4 months. She's been unable to feed herself. She's been on constant hospice care, which really just means that someone is with her at all times, doing everything for her. She can do nothing. And as of Tuesday, I learned she's now NOD. And I mean, what that means in layman's terms is that she can't eat anything, she can't swallow anything. And what that means in the long run is that she is going to starve to death. There's nothing we can do for her. So I don't know, what it reminded me of is this idea I see in other people about like dying well or dying with dignity. And I guess this isn't going to be happy, but I wanted to address that in the context of what I've seen. And I guess what I really want to address is kind of like the myth of dying well. Because I can tell you with the people that I've seen, it doesn't happen often, you know. I hear people talk all the time, I just want to go in my sleep, I just want to go quietly. And about 99% of people won't get that luxury, And I think that's something that we need to face early on in life. Otherwise, what happens to us and what happens to other people at the end of their lives is that much harder to take. I've only seen actually one person go quietly in their sleep the whole time I've worked there. And basically the fact that he got to, when I see all sorts of, really great people just go, most of them actually, they're NOD before the end. They can't eat and they starve to death. I told you this wasn't going to be a very happy video. But that is usually what happens. And this guy, probably the worst person I've ever worked with. He was like emotionally abusive to the girls on the floor, and unfortunately I was on the floor at the time, so I did work with him. And he had this massive coronary, and he died in his sleep very quickly. He went in an instant. He was dead by the time we got to him in the morning. But I see, like Dorothy, she was such a nice lady, and she lingered for 3 or 4 months, and now she's lingering even more, and frankly, it would just be a mercy at this point for her body to just give out, And I guess what that sort of sounds like is this idea of, assisted suicide that is so controversial, and that, was legal in some states and then wasn't, it was overruled, and it's not something I support in general, because I think it has a lot of really nasty implications when you come to things like, the disabled who are constantly told, you're a burden on society, you're a burden on your family, it would be better if you just weren't here. And there already is, what people don't realize, not so much assisted suicide, it is almost murder, really, what happens in our hospitals. Because people who they say won't have a quality of life or anything, or who are basically a burden to the hospitals, they will be taken off of life care, life support, and they will be left to die, So that's already happening. I can only imagine if we had legalized assisted suicide, what people would go to them and say, I have no quality of life, just let me go. And I think that's really, really dangerous because society puts so much pressure on those people. But then it comes to people like, Dorothy or Leo or, God, any of probably 100 patients I've seen go in the last 3 years where it was just like, I wish I could just end it for you because I know you're suffering and that isn't fair. You don't deserve it. So, but, it's just, I see that and then I, hear these people, oh, I just want to go in my sleep, and I just want to tell them you won't go in your sleep, But that's like I said, I think that's something we need to face because I think, as a society, have kind of forgotten how to die. We work so hard to preserve life that when it comes to the point that we can't do anything anymore, we don't know what to do. And I see a lot of people react to that in very different ways, because I work with the families of the dying and I see what they do. And, the first lady who I saw go like that, I walked into her room and her daughter she turned to me and she grabbed onto me and she held me for about 3 minutes straight. She couldn't let go. She couldn't see her mom like that. She didn't know what to do, And then I see some people that, they handle it a lot better. And maybe it's because they've had somebody go before. This isn't the first time. Like, Dorothy's daughter, she brought, because Dorothy, she's very shortly going to die. She's been NOD for, 5 days now? And you don't last long. Honestly, she's lasted a lot longer than I would have expected, Although, honestly, I expected her to go far before this. She's lingered, I think, longer than anyone I've seen, But her daughter brought the whole family in, so they could be with her. And they even, last night they brought in, because we're pretty sure it's her last night, she's very weak. She's very weak. So they brought in, all these pizzas. And they brought the whole family in, and they sort of had this, we're saying goodbye to you, almost, like a party. Like, we know this is the end and we want to be here, So people handle it differently. But it's a reality we need to face. And it's what I wanted to just bring to attention. It's, like I said, it's not a happy topic. But I think in the end, we need to relearn, I guess, just how to let go at the end of our lives, to understand that it's not going to be easy, and that death is not fair, and it is not merciful, and it is not dignified. And that's the way it's going to be for 99% of us. I told you this was going to be an unhappy video. I don't even know what more than that I want to say, except that death is difficult. And I almost feel like I wish everyone would, at least for a little bit, even just a couple months, live at a place or work at a place like where I do, where they could see how it happens, so that we have some preparation for what comes at the end, because nobody prepares us for that. They just say, we can give them, this much longer to live, we can give you this medication, we can draw it out as long as we can. And it's not like we're going to help you through the process of dying. It's not that. So, this has been a completely rambling video, and it's already 8 minutes. Yeah, it's just, I guess I've covered what I wanted to cover. Just that, I don't know, I wish people would take a harder look at that when they're still young and comes to grips with what will happen at the end of their lives and at the end of the lives of ones they love. So, if there is a way you can prepare yourself for that, maybe, God, even volunteer at an assisted living home or a hospital or something, so you see what it's like and you will have a better preparation for what happens. If that's advice I could give to anyone, it's very morbid and it's not happy. But I think it would help people sort of to let go of that myth and to be prepared for what comes at the end. And oh my God, I'm going to cut it off here because this has been depressing and it's already 9 minutes. But yeah, that was, I guess, pretty much what I had to say.